Hello and welcome back to Culinary Haven. Today we're making the Norwegian Boller. The little yeast dough buns flavored with some cardamom and sweetened with a little bit of sugar and a lot of raisins. The reason for this particular recipe is that in the last couple of years I found out that I have a cousin who lives in Norway. And not just any cousin, first cousin, which I never knew existed. So to celebrate this startling discovery, we're making the Norwegian Boller. Let's begin. To make the Norwegian Boller, we will need 500 grams of plain flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of yeast, half a teaspoon of ground cardamom, 60 grams of sugar, 60 grams of butter softened to room temperature, 150 grams of raisins, 125 ml of hot water, and 125 ml of cold milk, 2 teaspoons of glycerine. If you don't have glycerine, you can add 2 teaspoons of cooking oil just to make up for the liquid. The glycerin is added so that they stay fresher for longer. And 1 egg. And we'll also need 1 more egg for the egg wash. And we'll start with combining the cold milk and hot water to make a nice and warm liquid. In total, we have 250 ml of liquid. Next step, we're going to sift all the dry ingredients into a bowl. Flour, salt, yeast, ground cardamom, and sugar. Sifting it all together and distributing everything nicely and evenly throughout. Let's try, nice and warm. Pour it in. Crack in the egg and add the butter, soft butter. Okay, and just mix it all together gently so that the flour is not flying all over the place whilst it's dry. Just mix it all together. We're looking for a very soft and pliable dough. And it doesn't take long. Actually, at this point, I'm going to add the glycerine. So, like I said, the glycerine is added to keep the buns fresher for longer. You most likely won't need it. But just to compensate for the amount of liquid, add some 2 teaspoons of oil. 1 and 2. That's it. As soon as everything comes together, we're going to dump it onto the worktop and finish the kneading there. So now I'm going to sprinkle a tiny amount of flour on the surface, which is less than a teaspoon. It will not affect the dough in any way, but it will help us to knead it. So this dough is very nice to work with, so it won't be a problem. And we'll also need a dough scraper. So just the usual way as we always need the dough. It's very soft, but that's how it should be. It's sticky at the moment, which is also fine, just bear with it. It will be, in a minute, it will be nice and elastic and not sticky like this. See? at the moment. It's just very shaggy, grainy, sticky dough, but it takes just a couple of minutes for it to come together. I have a tiny amount of flour. See, 1 minute later, and it's already becoming more elastic. It looks sort of scary and messy if you're not used to making dough, and sort of off-putting, but it really isn't scary at all, and just give it a try. It really takes just a couple of minutes for the dough to come together and to become more and more elastic the more you knead it. There you go. From what I hear, the Norwegians are very outdoorsy people. They love walking, they love hiking, they love all kinds of outdoors activities, so I guess it's no surprise that the Norwegian Boller is a staple food in Norway. So it's very handy to grab a little bun when you're on the go. And you see now that the dough is actually ready, because it's nice and smooth and lovely. So, once the dough is ready, as in it's soft, smooth, elastic, and not sticky, not sticking to your hands and not sticking to the surface, we're going to add the raisins. 150 grams of raisins into this small amount of dough. It sounds silly and crazy and like an awful lot. Don't worry about that. It isn't. It's just perfect. We all love, since we've learned this recipe, I've made them, I don't know, hundreds of them. And I'm not exaggerating, hundreds of them. So I really advise you to give it a try. And stick to the recipe. Don't change anything. That's it. The dough is ready. So we spread it like so. Okay. And then add a handful like this. And then just fold it in. Spread it again. And add another handful of raisins. And I know how it looks. It looks ridiculously much, but it isn't. Okay, another spreading out the dough, and another handful. The last handful of raisins, and that's that. So now we're going to close that. Whoops. Tearing, which is not important at all. It's not a pie, and the dough hasn't developed yet. It will more than double in volume, so all these raisins will be inside it. Don't worry about a thing. Now I'm going to roll it into a nice tight ball, as usual. Ball of dough. Sprinkle it lightly with some flour. Like so. My hands. There, nice little ball of dough. We're going to put it back into the bowl, cover it tightly with cling film, and let it rise in a nice warm place until it's at least doubled in volume, which will probably take an hour and a half. So the dough has risen, as you can see. It's now a big ball of dough, more than doubled even in volume. Now we're going to deflate it gently and divide it into 18 equal pieces. Here they are, 18 pieces. Before I shape them, we'll prepare the trays. I'm using glass trays today, so I'm going to, instead of using parchment, I'm going to use some softened butter. Just grease the trays with butter, because otherwise they will stick to them. So just very thin but thorough coating of softened butter. And now we're going to shape them like this. Just turn them in, like making a little ball, and then gather them, pinch like a money pouch in the center, turn it over, shape it into a nice little tight ball, and that's that. They are so lovely, very simple, just very simple yeast dough, but it's just, I don't know what it is. They're nice, super soft, super fluffy, with a very, very lovely flavor of the cardamom, and with plenty of raisins in them. Just very satisfying and very, very pleasant. And I would like to also point out that, as you can see, I'm not adding any more flour, even for rolling and shaping them. My hands are greasy, I have to say, so maybe grease your hands after greasing the trays, but other than that, they're absolutely fine and not sticking. Now we're going to let them rise for about 30 minutes, and after that we'll start preheating the oven. They have to puff up again, and by the time the oven is hot, they will be ready. The oven will preheat to 180 degrees Celsius. I'm using a large plastic bag to create the perfect environment for them. Like so. Just put it on like this, and that's how they're sitting here and just relaxing and growing. Or you can put a floured kitchen towel on them. So it's been 30 minutes, the ones puffed up, and we've just turned the oven on, and we're going to prepare the egg wash, the last step. So the egg wash is 1 egg and 1 tablespoon of milk. Whisk it together. And with a pastry brush, gently egg wash the buns. If after all these years you still don't have a pastry brush, you can use your finger. Gently, don't press. We don't want to deflate them. So now we're going to bake them in the preheated to 180 degrees Celsius oven. 20 minutes. So this is the first batch. It's ready. Look at them. Just take a look at these gorgeous little buns. All nice and shiny, all perfectly baked. All we need now is to take them off the tray. The tray is still very, very hot. So I'm just gonna see they're greasing the tray help. They didn't stick, because I know for a fact they would if I didn't. Made this mistake once. But parchment is also very good if you would rather do that. So we'll just give them a couple of minutes to cool down so I can handle them and show them to you what they look like inside. And in the meantime, we're going to egg wash and bake the second batch. So now that they've cooled down, let's try one. I'll just open it. See how soft, how incredibly soft they are. It's just so soft and fluffy. And by the way, you saw how many and how much raisins there were there, and it doesn't look like it now, does it? It's just perfect, just like I said it would be. Thank you for watching this episode of Culinary Haven. I hope you enjoyed it and you will try the Norwegian Boller for yourself. And until next time, bye.